Well, arguably one of the reasons that Musk is so interested in Mars, and he said this on Twitter, is because he wishes to impose he wants to create the Mars technocracy, which is significant because technocracy is a model of government that arguably is being rolled out on sort of a global
Yeah.
scale here on Earth right now. And notably, Elon Musk's grandfather was the head of the technocratic movement when it existed, several decades ago in Canada, and has been pretty vocal that he supports the technocratic model. Just in general, which is kind of problematic because ultimately technocracy is about rule of society by a scientific elite that, ultimately in terms of its philosophy, view the masses basically as programmable automatons that don't really have free will and are sort of not really that different from animals.
I could see Elon going in that direction. I could see him the way he pumps out babies and without thinking that, being a father and being actually there matters. The way that he views human beings seems to be along those lines.
A lot of these types of figures certainly view their own genetic stock in a different category as the masses, right? And I think that's.
But he clearly just views people as it's like not human, the way he views human beings, even the way he just makes his own children through IVF surrogacy, pumping them out with various different, even just that mentality is clearly the humanness of humans is not there.
I'm not super familiar with, his relationship with his own kids, but I am more or less familiar with, some of the other ambitions,
literally.
I'm more, okay. Well, I'm more focused. I've been more focused on some of his, for example, his ties to, I guess, the Maxwell family or Epstein world, which tend to go underreported. And of course he will publicly posture like he had literally no affiliation at all with them. And I think that is definitely less than honest, and have said this in detailed why. In the past, and also on some of his, obviously his military contracts, which are pretty significant, but some of his other ambitions as well. For example, for Twitter, openly wanting to turn it into something like WeChat, which has been criticized in the past by people on the right, which now very openly support Musk. For being for being an Orwellian system. It's basically a public-private partnership with the state for policing speech, among other things, and for mass surveillance. And it's very likely that Twitter is, moving along those same lines. And the idea of sort of having it be a one-stop shop for all your finances, which is what WeChat kind of is in China, would give Elon Musk a lot of power, because ultimately, if we're in the age where data is the new oil, instead of having oil barons like we had, back in the 19th century, now we're basically having data barons. And so who runs the infrastructure, who runs the apps, all of that. Musk is poised to be one of the biggest data barons of our age. And what type of power comes with that? Well, it comes with the power to essentially remake society however you want. And so his interest in technocracy, which is also shared by some of these other likely data barons of the future, like Mark Andreessen, for example, among others, should, I think, be scrutinized. And if this is the type of society we want, where we're basically going to be ruled by algorithms that are not human, and only certain people maintain those algorithms. So perhaps, it would be framed as, a more egalitarian society, and that all of society would be governed by the algorithms. But that isn't necessarily true, because you obviously are going to have an upper class that programs and maintains the algorithms and decides what their parameters are and what they do. And this is basically outlined in this book by the former Google CEO, Eric Schmidt, and Henry Kissinger, that this will inevitably happen when AI takes over government. And you